My entire family flew to Hawaii the night before my college graduation. They sent me photos of themselves on the beach while I sat alone at a restaurant waiting for them. So I shut off the money I had been quietly using to fund their entire lives for years. And I watched everything fall apart. My name is Megan. I am 28 years old, and this is the story of how my family abandoned me on the most important night of my life and how I finally stopped being their safety net. Let me take you back to where it all began. I spent 6 years earning my MBA, not because I was slow or struggled academically, but because I was working full-time while attending classes at night and on weekends. I did not have the luxury of being a full-time student. I had bills to pay and goals to reach, and absolutely no one funding my education except myself. By the time I walked across that stage, I had a grade point average of 3.7. I had zero student debt because I paid tuition out of my own pocket semester by semester, and I had a promotion waiting for me at the logistics company where I had been grinding since I was 22 years old. I am not going to pretend I was not proud of myself. I was. I had sacrificed everything for that degree. Missed birthday parties, skipped holidays, turned down vacations and dinners and weekend trips because I was either working or studying or both. My 20s were not glamorous. They were exhausting, but I kept going because I believed that one day it would all be worth it. And graduation night was supposed to be that day. I planned a small celebration dinner at an upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Chicago, made reservations 2 months in advance, put down a $500 deposit for a private dining room, invited 15 people: my parents, my two sisters, my aunt and uncle, three cousins, my grandmother, the people who were supposed to be my biggest supporters. Everyone confirmed they would be there. My mom even texted me a week before saying she could not wait to celebrate her brilliant daughter. I believed her. 2 weeks before graduation, my younger sister Jenna mentioned she might not be able to make it. Her boyfriend Derek had surprised her with a trip to Hawaii, and the dates overlapped with my dinner. I reminded her that my graduation had been on the calendar for 6 months. She rolled her eyes and said she would figure it out. Jenna had always been the favorite. She dropped out of community college after one semester, never held a job longer than a few months, spent most of her time posting selfies and talking about self-care and living her truth. Our parents adored her, said she was finding herself. Meanwhile, I was working 60-hour weeks, and somehow I was the one who needed to loosen up. Her boyfriend Derek was one of those guys who called himself an entrepreneur but had never actually started a business. He had big ideas and even bigger credit card debt, but my parents loved him, said he had vision. A week before graduation, my cousin Ryan texted asking if he could bring his new girlfriend to the dinner. I said yes. Then he followed up saying, actually, they might not come at all depending on what else was happening that weekend. Ryan was the family party guy, 30 years old, still living with his parents rent-free, worked as a bartender, and spent most of his money on bottle service and designer clothes. But according to everyone, he was networking and building connections. 3 days before graduation, my other sister Leah called to say she could not make it either. Her roommate was going through something and needed emotional support. When I asked what kind of crisis, she got defensive and said I was being selfish for expecting her to abandon a friend in need. Leah had a pattern of putting strangers before family. She would cancel on holidays to help someone she had just met, but when I needed help moving apartments after a 12-hour shift, she was too busy. According to her, I was simply not emotionally available enough to understand her priorities. If you are watching this right now, I want to know where you are from. Drop your city in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love seeing where this story reaches. The night before graduation, I received a group text from Jenna. It said, "Hey, everyone, quick update. We are in Hawaii. Derek surprised me with tickets, and we could not say no. Trip of a lifetime. Sorry about tomorrow, but you understand, right? Have fun at your little dinner." Attached was a photo. My entire family, all of them, standing on a beach at sunset in matching floral shirts like they were filming a commercial for a resort. My parents, both sisters, Ryan and his new girlfriend, my aunt and uncle, even my grandmother, who had told me she had a doctor appointment and could not travel. 15 people who had confirmed they would be at my graduation dinner were instead posing in paradise. The group chat started blowing up with more messages. Ryan added, "Enjoy eating alone, loser. This is what real living looks like." Jenna wrote, "We are in Hawaii. Nobody cares about your little dinner. Grow up. My mom sent a separate message. Do not be dramatic. We will celebrate when we get back. You understand that once-in-a-lifetime trips do not come around often. I sat there staring at my phone for what felt like an hour. These people who had spent years telling me how proud they were of me, who had bragged about my work ethic to their friends, who had claimed to support my journey through school. They had collectively decided that a beach vacation was more important than showing up for the biggest moment of my life. And they had planned it in secret, coordinated flights, booked hotels, bought matching shirts, all while pretending they would be at my dinner. The next morning I walked across the stage alone. No family in the audience, no cheering section, just me in my cap and gown receiving a diploma I had spent 6 years earning. That night, I sat in my apartment, eating leftover takeout and scrolling through their vacation photos, watching them toast drinks and laugh on the beach while I sat in silence. My manager found out what happened and took me out for dinner that evening. Told me his family had done something similar years ago. Gave me advice I have never forgotten. He said family is supposed to show up. When they do not, you remember it. And when they come asking for something later, you remember it then too. That advice changed everything. Here is what nobody in my family knew. For the past 4 years, I had been quietly funding their lives. I am good with money. Always have been. While everyone else spent their paychecks on whatever they wanted, I was budgeting and saving and investing. By the time I was 25, I was earning around $90,000 a year between my salary and side investments. Not wealthy by any means, but comfortable enough that when family asked for help, I usually said yes. It started small. My parents needed help with property taxes one year. $1,500. They said they would pay me back when my dad's commission check came through. Never happened. Then Jenna's car broke down. Needed a new transmission. $2,800. She promised to pay me back in monthly installments. Made one payment of $200, then ghosted me whenever I asked about the rest. Leah needed help with rent during a rough patch between jobs. I covered 6 months at $900 each. She was supposed to pay me back once she got stable. That was 2 years ago. I never saw a dollar. Ryan's car got repossessed because he stopped making payments. I loaned him $3,500 to get it back. He told everyone I helped him out, but never mentioned it was a loan. When I brought it up at Thanksgiving, he accused me of being petty about money between family. My parents needed a new air conditioning system during a heat wave. I paid for the entire installation, $5,500. My dad said he would pay me back monthly. Made 2 payments, then said he was restructuring his finances and would resume once things stabilized. 18 months later, still nothing. The pattern was always the same. They would ask for help, I would provide it. They would promise to pay me back. Then they would act like I was the villain for expecting them to honor their word. But I kept records. Every loan, every payment, every promise, documented in a spreadsheet with dates and amounts and terms. Not because I was planning anything, just because that is how I operate. That night after graduation, I opened that spreadsheet, wanted to see exactly how much I had given. The total made me sick. Over 4 years, I had loaned or given my family $48,000. My parents owed me $12,000. Jenna owed me $8,000. Leah owed me $6,000. Ryan owed me $5,000. My aunt and uncle had borrowed $4,000 for a wedding and never repaid it. Even my grandmother owed me $1,500 from medical bills I had covered. $48,000. That was the cost of being the responsible one, the one with the job, and the savings and the good credit, the one everyone called when they needed help. And where was all that money now? Funding their Hawaiian vacation while I ate cold noodles alone in my apartment? The anger I felt was not loud. It was quiet, cold, calculated. I started thinking about how much of their current lifestyle depended on me continuing to be their personal bank. Jenna's car that I had repaired. She could not afford insurance on her own. I had been covering her premiums for 8 months because she claimed the payments were too high after Derek lost his job, $270 a month. My parents were underwater on their mortgage. I had been paying their property taxes for 2 years because they could not afford both the mortgage and the taxes. $2,400 a year. Leah's apartment. I was the guarantor on her lease because she had terrible credit. She had missed rent twice already that year. Both times the landlord called me. Both times I paid to protect my own credit. Ryan's insurance had been canceled after a DUI. He could not get coverage anywhere affordable, so I had added him to my policy, $140 a month to keep him legal. I had spent years being the foundation everyone else stood on, and they had not even bothered to show up for my graduation. So I made a decision. I was done. If you are relating to this story right now, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people hear stories that matter. And trust me, this is only getting started. Monday morning, I started making calls. First, I called my insurance company and removed Ryan from my policy, effective immediately. He would need to find his own coverage by the end of the month or drive uninsured. Then I called Jenna's insurance provider and removed my payment information. Her policy would lapse unless she set up her own payments. I contacted my parents' mortgage company and revoked my authorization to make property tax payments on their behalf. They would need to handle it themselves going forward. I reached out to Leah's landlord and started the process of removing myself as guarantor. It would take time, but I initiated the paperwork. Then I sent one message to the family group chat. It said, effective immediately, I am no longer providing financial assistance to anyone. All outstanding loans are due within 30 days. After that, I will be pursuing legal collection. Thanks for the Hawaii photos. Look like fun. I turned off my phone and went to work. Did not turn it back on until Wednesday. When I did, there were over 80 missed calls and more than 200 text messages. The messages were a journey. Started with confusion, moved to anger, then panic, then guilt tripping. Ryan wrote, "You cannot just kick me off your insurance. I will get arrested if I am driving without coverage." Jenna wrote, "You are seriously canceling my insurance over a vacation. You are insane." My mom wrote, "We need to talk immediately. You are making rash decisions over hurt feelings." Leah wrote the landlord, called about the guarantor paperwork. "You are really going to leave me homeless." My dad wrote, "This is unacceptable behavior. You do not cut off family because you are upset about one thing." My aunt wrote, "Very disappointed in you. Family supports each other no matter what." The entitlement was unbelievable. Not one apology, not one acknowledgement of what they had done, just immediate outrage that I had stopped funding their lives. My mom left 17 voicemails. They started calm and got progressively more frantic. The last one was her sobbing about how I was destroying the family and being selfish and throwing away relationships over money. Throwing away relationships over money. They had thrown away my graduation over a vacation. But somehow I was the one destroying relationships. Wednesday night, my parents showed up at my apartment. They had just returned from Hawaii, and instead of going home to unpack, they came straight to confront me. My dad pounded on the door like he was trying to break it down. I let them in because I knew they would not leave until we talked. My dad demanded to know what this was about, said I could not just cut everyone off like this. "I did not cut anyone off," I said calmly. "I stopped subsidizing your lives. There is a difference." My mom said, "We are family. Family helps each other." "Exactly," I replied. "Family helps each other. So where was my family on Saturday?" They both went quiet. Then my dad started explaining how the Hawaii trip was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Derek had found some kind of deal on flights and hotels. Everyone contributed to make it happen. It was spontaneous and exciting. They thought I would understand. "You knew about my graduation for 6 months," I said. "You confirmed you would be at the dinner. Then you planned a vacation for the exact same weekend and kept it secret from me until the night before. We did not want to upset you." My mom said, "How much did Hawaii cost?" I asked. They exchanged looks. My dad finally said it was about $2,000 per person. Flights, hotels, and activities. 15 people, $30,000, spent on a vacation to avoid coming to my graduation dinner. And you are currently behind on property taxes, I said. The ones I have been paying because you cannot afford them. But you found $2,000 each for a beach trip. That is different, my dad argued. The trip was a one-time thing. The taxes are ongoing. Right. And my ongoing support has been funding your lifestyle while you treat me like an inconvenience. I showed them my spreadsheet. Every loan, every payment, every broken promise. $48,000 over 4 years. They stared at the numbers like they were seeing them for the first time. Some of those were gifts. My mom protested. "You said we did not have to pay you back." "I said that after you made me feel guilty for asking," I replied. There is a difference between giving a gift and being manipulated into not expecting repayment. My dad tried pulling rank. said I was being childish and petty, said real adults do not keep score in families. You are right, I said. Real adults do not keep score. They also do not abandon their daughter's graduation for a vacation and then act like she is wrong for being upset. My mom started crying, said I was tearing the family apart, said money should not come between us. You raised me to be responsible, I said. That is what I am being, responsible with my money, reliable in my boundaries. You just do not like it because I am not responsible for your problems anymore. They left after an hour of arguing in circles. Before walking out, my dad said I would regret this decision. That family was more important than money, that someday I would need them and they would not be there. I said that was fine. They had already proven they would not be there anyway. The fallout came faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks, Ryan's car got impounded for driving without insurance. Cost him $800 in fines to get it out. He called screaming that it was my fault. I reminded him he had a month to get his own coverage. Jenna's insurance lapsed. She got pulled over for a broken taillight and cited for no coverage, had to appear in court and pay fines. She sent me a photo of the ticket with a message that said, "Hope you are happy." My parents received notice from the county about unpaid property taxes. They faced liens and potential foreclosure if they did not pay within 60 days. They called demanding I fix it. I declined. Leah's landlord refused to renew her lease without a guarantor. She had to move in with friends and sleep on a couch in a one-bedroom apartment shared 3 ways. She posted on social media about how family betrayal had left her homeless. The family group chat became a support group for people suffering the consequences of my boundaries. They posted about their struggles and blamed me, acted like I had caused their problems, instead of simply stopping to prevent them. My mom posted vague things on social media about difficult times and the pain of unconditional love, got lots of sympathy from people who had no idea what actually happened. She never mentioned Hawaii or my graduation, just portrayed herself as a suffering mother dealing with an ungrateful child. I blocked most of them on social media, did not need to see their version of events. 3 weeks later, things got ugly. I had given them 30 days to repay what they owed. 30 days came and went with 0 payments from anyone. So I filed small claims court cases for amounts under $10,000. Civil court for my parents' larger debt, sent all paperwork via certified mail, so no one could claim they never received it. I had documentation for everything. Text messages confirming loan amounts, bank records showing transfers, messages where they promised repayment, records of me requesting payment and them ignoring me. The family reaction was nuclear. Everyone called me heartless, cruel, vindictive, said I was destroying the family over money, said they could not believe I would actually take my own parents to court. I reminded them that borrowing money and refusing to pay it back is theft. The lawsuit was just making it official. Ryan sent threatening messages about teaching me a lesson. I forwarded them to the police and filed a report. Officers visited him and warned him to stay away from me. Jenna called sobbing and begging me to drop the cases, said this would destroy their credit and make recovery impossible. I pointed out that not repaying borrowed money destroys credit anyway. The lawsuit just documented it. My mom left a voicemail saying I was dead to her, that she no longer had a daughter, that she would never forgive me. I saved the voicemail, thought I might need it later. The court dates arrived over the following 2 months. My parents showed up looking exhausted, wearing wrinkled clothes, driving my aunt's car because theirs had been repossessed. The judge reviewed my documentation. I had everything organized, loan agreements through text messages, bank records, promises of repayment, evidence of requests for payment being ignored. My dad tried arguing that family loans were different, that there was an understanding of flexibility and grace. The judge asked if they had made any effort to repay me. My dad admitted they had not. The judge said, "So you borrowed $12,000, promised to repay it, made 0 payments, and you are arguing you should not have to pay because you are related to the plaintiff." My dad said it was more complicated than that. The judge replied, "It is actually very simple. You borrowed money, you did not pay it back. That is debt. Judgment for the plaintiff, $12,000 plus court costs and interest." Jenna's hearing went the same way. She claimed the car repairs were a gift. I showed texts where she explicitly said she would pay me back in installments. Judgment for $8,000. Ryan showed up unprepared, and tried to charm the judge with stories about family dynamics. It did not work. Judgment for $5,000. Leah did not even appear. Automatic judgment for $6,000. Total judgments $31,000. Wage garnishments started within weeks. My dad's paychecks got garnished. Jenna's wages got garnished. Ryan's bar income got garnished. Even Leah's paychecks once she found new work. They would be paying me back for years. 2 months after my graduation, my parents lost their house. The foreclosure went through. They had 30 days to vacate. Moved in with my aunt and uncle, 5 adults crammed into a 3-bedroom house. Jenna moved back in with them after Derek dumped her. Turns out his spontaneous Hawaii trip had been funded entirely by credit cards he could not pay off. He lost his job for missing work during the vacation. The relationship collapsed under financial pressure. Now 6 adults were living in my aunt's house, all blaming me for their situation. Leah lost her apartment completely and bounced between friends' couches. Posted sad photos about minimalist living and learning to appreciate simplicity. Her followers had no idea she was there because she could not afford rent. Ryan ended up living in his car after getting evicted for unpaid rent. He had assumed I would bail him out like always. When I did not, his landlord followed through. He posted pictures of sunrises from his car with captions about freedom and unconventional lifestyles. The entire family structure collapsed, and it only took 2 months without my financial support. 6 months after graduation, I received a letter in the mail. It was from my grandmother, the only family member who had stayed quiet through everything. She wrote that she was sorry for missing my graduation, that she had been pressured into going on the Hawaii trip and felt too afraid to say no, that she understood why I had cut everyone off and did not blame me, that she hoped someday I would be willing to speak with her again, but understood if I was not ready. She also included a check for $1,500, the medical bills I had helped her with, fully repaid with a year of interest. I called her that night. We talked for 2 hours. She told me the truth about Hawaii. The trip had been planned specifically to avoid my graduation. My mom had convinced everyone that I was too serious about school, that I needed to learn that life happens and I could not expect everyone to revolve around my schedule, that I needed a lesson about not being the center of attention. They had literally planned an international vacation as punishment for expecting my family to show up for me. My grandmother had gone along because she was afraid of being excluded from future family events, but she had felt sick about it the entire time. Said the photos they posted were fake. Everyone was uncomfortable, but nobody wanted to be the first to admit they had made a mistake. She said they thought you would just accept it, like you always did. They did not think you would actually stand up for yourself. I did not walk away. I told her. They pushed me away. I just stopped pushing back. She agreed, said she was proud of me, said she wished she had raised her own daughter to be more like me. We stayed in touch after that, met for lunch regularly. She became the only family member I maintained any relationship with. 1 year after my graduation, I received a handwritten letter from my mother. She apologized, said they had made a terrible mistake with Hawaii, that they were wrong to miss my graduation, that she understood why I had cut them off and did not expect forgiveness. She just wanted me to know she was sorry. She explained that they had lost everything. The house, the cars, their savings. They were living in a small apartment now. My parents and Jenna splitting a cramped 2-bedroom. My dad was working 2 jobs trying to pay off the court judgments. Jenna was back in retail. She did not ask for money, just said she hoped someday I would be willing to speak to them again, that she loved me and always would, even though she had failed to show it when it mattered. I read that letter 3 times. I never responded. Some things cannot be fixed with words. Some bridges burn too completely to rebuild. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is simply close the chapter and move forward. Here is what I learned from all of this. Being the responsible one in a family is a trap if you do not set boundaries. People will take and take and take until there is nothing left of you, and then they will blame you for finally saying no. Family is not defined by blood. It is defined by behavior. The people who show up for you, the people who respect you, the people who value your presence more than your wallet. I spent my 20s being the foundation everyone else stood on, paid their bills, covered their emergencies, cleaned up their messes, and when the single most important day of my life arrived, they were on a beach taking selfies. But I do not regret any of it, because it taught me who I am and who they are. I graduated with honors. got promoted, bought my own home, built a life I am proud of, and I did it without a single dollar from any of them. My grandmother and I are closer than ever. We have dinner together every Sunday. She tells me stories about her life, and I tell her about mine. She is the only family I need. The garnished wages still show up in my account every month, a small, steady reminder that actions have consequences. I put that money into savings. Maybe I will use it for something special someday. Maybe I will just let it grow. But more important than the money is the peace. I sleep well at night. I wake up without dread. I do not have to worry about the next emergency call or the next request for money I will never see again. They chose Hawaii over my graduation, so I chose myself over them, and I have never looked back. If you are still watching right now, you are amazing. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next story. Drop a comment telling me your favorite part, and make sure to hit that like button because it truly helps more than you know. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one.